Well, hello and good morning, and welcome to Sunday Morning Coffee with Dr. Childress. Uh, in today's Sunday Morning Coffee, I want to be speaking with the child who's caught in the middle of family conflict. And I anticipate most likely like adolescent, early adolescent, mid adolescent, potentially older adolescent child. I'm not talking to the parents today. So if you're a parent and you'll probably be curious, but go away. This isn't for you. One of the reasons I don't typically talk directly to the children caught in the middle of family conflict is because parents try to use what I say to then, eh, solve the situation in the family. They try to create or movement, and that's just not helpful. I'm not here to create movement with the child. I'm here to fix things around the child. And so getting the child to solve the problem isn't the proper approach. We need to fix everything around the child and let the child kind of be free in this. So, but I know parents, the targeted parents, are just really wanting to get solutions. So they're looking for anything as a way to do that. The problem is us, the mental health people, the psychology people, should be taking leadership in solving things, and we're not doing that. So us, the psychology people, need to change how we're doing things so that we can fix families. So today, though, I'm motivated, want to talk to the child who's caught in the middle of stuff, and primarily because now shifting and talking to the now caught in the middle child is you may have heard my name. You may have heard me like I'm involved in your family somehow. And so you Google me and say, who's this Dr. Childress that's involved in your family? And you're likely heard that I'm brought in by like either your mom or your dad. So I'm on their side of the family conflict. And no one's really telling you what's going on around the family at this point. But you know what's going on. There's conflict about who you're going to be with, and where and so and you have your opinions, and there's a side for your mom or dad, and there's the other side for the other parent, and everybody's fighting about you. And so you may have heard that I'm coming in or being involved in the family somehow on one side or the other. And that's not exactly true. And so I wanted to take an opportunity to just talk directly to you because you're an adolescent. You're probably 14 to 16, 18, maybe even 12, but you have a right to kind of know what's going on in your world, that the adults are going to make the decisions, and we're going to make the decisions that are good for you now and good for your life and good for you generally. um so we're going to make the decisions about things, but holy cow, it's your life. And so kind of knowing a little bit about what's going on is it can be helpful to orient you and to kind of reduce some of the anxiety about what's happening, and because there's a lot of fighting going on around you. So I thought I'd speak directly to you, introduce myself. Hi, I'm Dr. Childress, and what my involvement means relative to your family. um, and so first off, I'm a clinical psychologist, a child and family psychologist. And so my job is not to decide on the custody, that's the court's job. My job is to fix things. What things? Well, whatever needs fixing. That's what I do. I come into a situation of typically families, and because there's something going on with the child that's a problem. And so they bring Dr. Childress in. And my job is to figure out what's going on, what's the problem, so that I can come up with a treatment plan to fix whatever the problem is. From autism to ADHD to trauma to whatever the problem is, I'm coming in to help people fix it. Now, when I'm brought into a situation, my client is always the child. Okay, so I'm always working for the child in the situation. Now, I'm brought in by a parent, yeah, absolutely, because they're kind of responsible for children. But my job is to fix things for the child. Because if I fix things for you and your life is wonderful, then your parents are going to be happy because your life is wonderful. And then all the court and everybody's happy because the parents are happy. And so if I fix things for you in your life, then everybody's happy. So that's my job. So I always come in with my client being the child. Now, in this situation, we got the court involved because I have to decide on what the schedule is of sharing your wonderfulness between your parents. And so I have a second client, which is the court. Okay, so I have to provide to the court an accurate description of kind of what's happening to the family, what's causing the problem, so that we can come up with a plan to fix it and solve everything and fix everything. And my goal in getting involved in families is to return to you children, return to the child, a normal range and healthy childhood. Just like everybody at school, divorce happens all the time. It's not a bad thing. It's unfortunate, but it happens all the time. And we just changing how the family is structured. And so talk to your kids, your friends at school. You share the kid back and forth, and you move between houses. But everything is normal range. You can focus on your school, you can focus on friends, you sleep over, whatever's going on, your sports activities, getting ready for college, whatever it is that's going on in your world. You need to be focused on that, not the parents fighting in custody and which side you're on. We gotta protect you from that. Kind of create a little bubble around you so that all the parent stuff is out there, but you're safe in here to just have your childhood. And now what that means is um, that we're going to help the family move to a healthy family structure. Let me show you a picture for a second. So this is a picture of post-divorce transitions. So there's two possible ways that a family can transition after a divorce. Before the divorce, as you were growing up, you had an intact family, and that's united by the marriage there. So mom and dad are together, and you see that in that first diagram, the child can kind of swim around in that little bubble there, because it's an intact family. Now, what happens is the parents, the adults, figure they can't get along, and so they're going to live in separate houses because they don't get along if they're living in the same house. So they've decided to live in separate locations, but now the family's still there. It's just now shifting over to what's called a separated family structure, where the parents are in different houses and they're now united by you. You're the now like the little thing that unites the family. And let me explain something. Once you come into the world, there's always a family. Okay, so divorce ends the marriage, but it doesn't end the family. There's always a family because there's you. And so there's always a mom, there's always going to be a dad, there's always going to be a kid to a mom and a dad because you're here. So you create the family. So the only question for a divorce situation is, do we have a healthy post-divorce separated family where the child is shared bonds with both parents? Or do we move into that second diagram lower, which is the cutoff family? And that's where, the child is entirely with one parent and the other parent is cut off or cut out of the child's life. And that's not a good situation. We want love. We want children receiving love from both their mom and their dad. We want children to feel abundantly loved from both their mom and their dad, and just not be all tense in those relationships. Just be getting lots of love going into the child, and the child are focused on their world. So that cutoff family, we're missing love from half of family, either mom or dad. We're not getting mom or dad love to that kid, and that's not good. So my job for you, the kid, is to, if you're in that cutoff family structure right now because everything's locked up and people are fighting and you don't know how to get out of it, you don't have to get out of it. That's my job. I help people figure things out. So if everything's locked up and you're down here in this cutoff, I'm being brought into the situation to help move you to that upper diagram of the healthy separated family. So if mom and dad get too much fighting, look what happens. They rip things apart and you get a cut off, so one way or the other. So we need to pull the fighting back in so that we can get a healthy separated family. So I wanted to just explain that to you, what my involvement is. If you potentially hear about me coming into the situation, I'm going to be focused on, identifying. I'm going what the problem is if you have difficulties with a parent, then I want to know what those are because we're going to fix them. Okay, we're going to make that whatever problems you have go away. Okay, now in that I will hopefully get asked for and get your leadership in helping with that, because you know I it's very helpful to me if we're all kind of moving in the same direction. So I'm going to ask, what if I'm involved in the family, that you kind of relax a little bit and allow the professionals to move the family in a healthy direction. And we'll do stuff to help do that and get you out of the middle, and so that you can just not make decisions, and the decisions are made, and we're going to make sure everything's okay. If my first concern is to make sure you're safe and everything's okay for you and there's nobody doing bad things relative to you. And so that's my number one concern when I come on, is I'm going to want to know, make sure nothing bad is occurring. And if there's nothing bad going on, then I'm going to start working to fix everything so we can go into a healthy and normal range family and childhood and stuff. So I just wanted to share that a little bit, about who I am, what my involvement is. You might hear I'm coming in to help with an assessment or something, and say, "Wow!" If I ever show up in a room with you and on a computer or something, just say, "Hi, Dr. Childress," and I'll say, "Hi," and you say, "I saw you on the internet," and I go, "Oh," and although you're kind of familiar with stuff. Um, and it's not up to you to fix things. It's up to us, the psychology people. We're going to listen to you. We're going to take your input into the situation. We're not going to let you decide things, and we're going to move you to the healthy family structure, because if that's just healthy for you, for everybody. If you have siblings, for them, and then for everybody. So we're going to move to healthy and away from pathology, the second one, the cutoff. But we'll be listening. We'll take it, and we'll do some good treatment plans. Don't worry about that. The final thing I just want to touch on this morning over coffee is, you may have heard about some of these reunification camps and everything. And if you're Googling around, there's a lot of people fighting about those. Um, that's, if you're being a real grumpy head, that's typically where those come into play. I wouldn't, if couple of things. If you're hearing about Dorsey Pruder and the high road, that's okay. She's fine. She's great. You'll love her. You'll love the workshop. Hundreds of kids have gone through the workshop. They love the workshop. What happens is that once the child returns to like the world from the 4 days, then sometimes they get back in the middle. The parents and the mental health people don't do a good enough job, and the child gets back in the middle, and then you'll see them on the internet saying, the camp was horrible, and but that's not true. So Dorsey Pruder, High Road, if you hear about that, you're involved in that, I don't worry about that. The other ones, turning points or something, there's others that are problematic. And so I don't, Dorsey, I'm fine with, but the other camp type things, I'm not a fan of. There's another approach that I typically use besides the camp, where we just adjust your time with one parent up or down based on kind of how you're relating to people. If you're normal and everything's fine with everybody, then we keep everything the same. If you start to get squirrely and become problematic, then we adjust things appropriately to help you get unsquirrely and return to normal. So that's typically how I like to do things. And you'll know the treatment plan. I'll talk with you about it, and you'll be fine with things. You just you, from my perspective, just need to keep your head down. Okay. There's a lot of fighting going on up here. You just keep your head down, and I'll go in up here and help things work out so that we can get your head back up again. So that's my job coming into this situation. So, and by the way, if I'm ever in a situation with you and talking with you or something, and you have any questions whatsoever, ask me the question. I'll tell you whatever you want to know. Whatever you want to know, and that the court will let me tell you. Everybody wants to keep you out of the middle, and so they're not telling you things about your life because they don't want you. And that's a good idea. You don't want you in the middle and with all this stuff. But that kind of puts you in a position where you don't know what's going on. So that's a little uncomfortable over here in the family courts. But we'll work it out. Divorce is not a big thing. It happens all the time. We're just transitioning to family. There's always going to be a family. People are bumpy. Final thing I want to tell you is about value systems, because this is going to be an important message from me to you around value systems. Is that there's a problematic value system in some families where one parent teaches a child that it's okay to be cruel to other people if they deserve it. If your other parent deserves cruelty, then it's okay to be cruel to them. And that's not true. That's a bad value. The actual value system, a healthy value system, is we're not nice to other people because of who they are. We're nice because of who we are. And so when I come into the situation working with young people on this, that's the value system I like to see in the young person. That you're a good human. You're a good person. And so I want you to be nice to everybody, your mom and your dad and your shopkeeper and anybody you run into in the world. I want you to be nice to them because you're a nice person, and not because they deserve it or because I don't want you being cruel to people because you feel you're punishing them for some sort of inadequacy. And so you're going to punish them for being that's not a good human. That's not the good person I know you to be. So as we go forward, that's once you keep your head down, that's what I'm going to be asking a little bit from you, is just be a nice person, be a good person. You're nice to other people because that's who you are, and then I'll deal with all the people being grumpy heads around you and see if we can get the fighting down, get you a normal range life. So with that, I'm going to run off to my coffee. It was good to meet you. Howdy. If you ever see me, just say, hi, Dr. Childress, and I'll say hi. And we'll talk with the rest of you. Parents, you can come back into the room now. Okay, we'll talk to you next week about something. And kids, you don't have to listen to what I tell the parents either. It's just, you can listen if you want. That's why it's up on the internet. But that's all adult stuff and parent stuff. And what I'm working on is getting the psychology people to step up to their job and do what they're supposed to be doing to make all the problems around you stop. Because I don't think you actually need therapy. Because I don't think you're broken. I think life around you, everybody around you may need therapy and is broken, but I think you're good. So my job is to help all of that other stuff get worked out so that you can have a normal range and healthy childhood. So with that, bye-bye, everybody, and good luck. And I'll check in with you next week for another coffee talk.